Alright, not sure what kind of Toyota we got yet. We'll go find out in a minute. I'm going to start off taking the peripheral stuff off the vent hose, 10 millimeters. Speed sensors, 10 millimeter. Electrical connectors, 10 millimeters. Tail housing is 14 millimeter. A pair of snap ring pliers like that. When I use a lot of zip ties, I just zip tie everything together. Just makes it quick. That's all it's about, is about speed. Make sure that you're not all chewed up, but normally these aren't. $10 millimeter on the speed sensor. You can mark them if you want to. 12 millimeter on the neutral switch. It's a 7/8 nut right here. Just loosen that just a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way off. Makes this easier to get off. $17 here and here. The rest of these out here are 14s. These in here are 12s. Well, these normally are not that hard to come out. Yep, broke that one right off in the case. That's going to take some work to get out. $10mm on the pan. Been into the pan at least before, because there's a magnet that goes in it. Yep, new gasket. Keep my filter bolts separate from all the rest of them. There's several different filters, so make sure you match up what came out of it. Some have one temp sensor, some have two. Pay attention to how the wiring was run, because they're different on different ones. I find it easiest to get a little pocket screwdriver or scribe and get in here and just pry up on the tabs, and it'll unlock it. These here have push-in ones. Pay attention to like hold down pieces. Might want to take a picture of it before you start taking it apart. Pull up these little seals that go in the valve body. This front accumulator and springs I just throw in my small parts basket. The rest of them I keep them in line the way they came out with the springs that were in there, because everyone's not all the same. take your harness out. Hold down bracket for our parking call rod. See if we can go all the way forward. Should be able to get that out. There's a spring, pivot pin, and the parking pole. Now I just get between the drum and the case here and pop it forward. There's a race here. There's a race here. There's this bearing. And then down inside the drum there's another bearing. Let's keep that all together. There's 30 torques on the pump. A punch, something that'll fit down inside the bolt holes. Just give a tap down. Make sure we're not all chewed up in here. I mark all my pump gears. Just put a little X on them. As long as nobody's been into it, should be okay. Make sure we're not all scored up. Take my drum, I'm going to set it off to the side. I'll do it in a minute. Big plastic washer. Now this stuff, especially if you've never done one before, pay attention to where your snap rings are at. You can go ahead and mark the case where they are, like this one is at the 6 o'clock position, so I can just put a little X there. Get you a long pry bar. You're going to pry out and pull and twist at the same time. And our first set of clutches. Here's a cushion plate underneath that. This is a Sprag Assembly. You can turn the planet that's inside there. This one's turning clockwise and locking counterclockwise. There's two ways of doing it. Mark the direction, or you can mark the surface that was out towards you. So this one's towards me. So I'll just put a little X on it. And I can also put the direction if I want to be doubly safe. So we're turning clockwise, so I'll put a arrow clockwise. And we got a center support that's in here. With the snap ring, it's at the 6 o'clock position also. we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get behind the snap ring, twist and pull. Sometimes you might need a scribe with a 90-degree end on it, like so. Just get behind it and pull it out. There ain't no shame in laying this out in the order that it came out of, especially on these. There's a lot to them, and it all goes in a certain order, so you don't want to spend time trying to figure out where something went and what sequence it went. You gotta be careful pulling your center supports out. If you get them cocked, you're just gonna make things worse on yourself. Try to pull them out as straight as you can. Keep the orientation of, remembering or taking a picture of how it was, the feed holes facing the bottom of the tranny. We got this hub, this washer. Like I said, you can just take it and stack it if you want to. Almost every one of these, this bushing has started walking out. This one hadn't done it yet. And a lot of times you can go in here and just take a center punch and punch some holes and keep it from walking out. But in order to get this bushing, you gotta buy a whole bushing kit. Next set of bearings, and what I'll do is I'll just take all the bearings that are in this section, and I'll just zip tie them together. If you want, you could just left it all on there and stacked it, wash it piece by piece, and put it back together. And we got a next set of clutches here. Then we got another center support. We got a snap ring and a spring cage that's holding that on. And the snap ring is at the 9 o'clock position. Mostly I usually see them at 12 o'clock. This one's got a little tab on the spring cage. You may have to push down on it in order to get the snap ring to start coming off. It's got these little tabs to keep the snap ring from popping out. Alright, on the next center support, it's got a feed hole. It faces at the 6 o'clock position also. And we got another snap ring. It should be at the 6 o'clock also. This one's about the 7 o'clock. Got our next set of clutches with this return spring. Sits on top of the pressure plate there. We got another center support. Feed holes at the 6 o'clock position again. Then behind that is another snap ring, and this one is pretty fun to get out. What I find is coming through this side to get it started. Keep a screwdriver behind the snap ring, keep it pushed out. And get up behind it, start pulling it out. The last little bit of it's going to be, usually is quite a bit of a chore to get out. It kind of gets hung up in there. This opening is supposed to be at the 6 o'clock, and this one was about the 5 o'clock. And here we're at the end of the snap ring, and the end gets kind of twisted in there, and it can be, there we go. And this one's beveled. Now this one you just pull, either push out the outlet shaft or push it all out, or you just start pulling it out piece by piece. We've got another Sprag assembly. This one can only go one way, but in case for some reason it got popped off, here again we're turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. Never hurts to mark your sprags, then you're not wondering how everything went. We got a little race up in here, bearing, and another race. Looks like we got quite a problem back here. Everything's gotten turned. Such a snot. Alright, these got pretty toasty, but steels are still good. Another bearing, another race, another bearing on the case up there. And I find the opening. My big pry bar. Push down on the spring cage. Start walking the snap ring out. A little skinnier screwdriver. Sometimes my big one doesn't work too well. Everything about this training is wanting to be difficult. It's usually not just difficult. Oh, come on, damn it. You're making it look worse than it is. Bastard. Push down on that. Why it's going to be difficult. Okay, go back in the hole. Bring it out here. Alright. Alright, let up. Then over here. Such a bitch. Right, well, straight down from where you are. Right there. Alright. There we go. It's truly not usually that difficult. Alright, our spring cage, our snap ring. Turn this upside down. Our case is empty. Here's our piston assembly for the back. Three-piece pieces. Stacked up to the walls. Now, what I've been doing, Sprag Assembly. I'll mark that as out towards us. Our washer. And we're still turning clockwise, lock and counter. So I'm going to put that on here. What I've been doing, I'm going over to the foot press and taking this piston off the back before I do the rest of this drum. Alright, we got our balance piston, our return spring. Now we can go towards the front. Take the snap ring off here. This got pretty toasty. And let's see. We got our cushion plate. See if we can get this sucker out of here. There we go. These are wiped out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure our hub didn't get screwed up where the clutches got into it. I think we should be okay. Got a bearing in here. I'll just keep that with these clutches. Now it goes in there. Another bearing and washer. Another hub with the washer. And bearing assembly. Well, this got really roached. Pressure plate, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7 steels for that one. There the drum comes out. Alright, 6 steels for this one. Looks like that bottom one's a pressure plate also. And we got 2 snap rings here. Well, that's going to take a lot of cleaning up. Alright, and this piston should come off. And it should have just slid right out. Here we go. Going to take a lot of cleaning. Alright. Now I'm going to go take this balance piston out. Balance piston, return spring. There's another piston in here. And go take the pistons out of this one. That piston, return spring, and the other piston. I'll zip tie that together. Go write this one up, and we're going to go find out what training we got. Alright, if you go on the door, I'll tell you what training it is. It's A750E. Our torque converter has a blue dot. It has a B5C3-10640. So that's what we need to give them. Alright, this is what we're doing on this one. LS kit with the pistons, a filter, zip kit for the valve body. I had a ply plate, 6 steels on that one drum, pressure plate, ply plate, 7 steels and pressure plate on the other drum, a cushion plate, a snap ring, and the SLT solenoid that had a code for it. And probably a good reason why this is burnt so bad. Then on our torque converter we had the blue dot. That was our code number on it. I think the odds of this one going tomorrow like they wanted is about 0 with the way parts have been going. So I don't know, we shall see. We'll see what shows up.